Hello, friends, and welcome to a FNAF theory. In Secret the Mimic, we see past fast technicians stuffed into suits, and we hear Edwin talk about David's death. And now, with a little help from the books, I know exactly what happened in the lead up to Secret of the Mimic. Let's start with what we know to be fact. Edwin inherited his company when his father passed away. Then he went on to marry Fiona, and they had David. Fiona went to Fall Fest to make sure everything went fine, and then she ended up dying in a fire. Edwin then went on to make M1 to keep David company because he was too busy with work. But then tragedy struck again, and David died. Edwin then went on to reluctantly make M2 because M1 was pressuring him into making it. Then he was so overwhelmed by how much like David M2 was, he got mad and beat it up with a metal pipe. Then M2 fixed itself, and the last we heard of Edwin, he was with M2, and the room had exploded, and M2 had broke his legs. Then Edwin had just vanished. Now we look at the questions we're left with. 1. How did David die? 2. What happened to Edwin? And 3. If there are tons of dead fast technicians in MCM, were they all sent by Fiona to come and help her with M2? Or were some of them sent by Fazbear to collect their property? Let's tackle the first question. How did David die in Secret of the Mimic? There's not really a definitive answer, but there are some clues, like the recording in the playroom puzzle area, where Edwin says that it's safe for David to play there when everyone else disagrees.
Look, I get your concerns. I do, but they're all just groundless. This is the perfect spot for David's playground. I can watch him play while I'm loading and unloading freight, and he'll be under watch at all times out there. The loading dock is like 200 feet away, and there's a fence and everything. I know you're my lawyer and all, but there's no regulation that says I can't have it there, so just get off my back. Besides, David loves the new slide. It'll be fine.
But in the Tales from the Pizzaplex book number 6, Nexi, in the Mimic story, David dies when he chases his ball into the road and a car hits him. And Edwin witnesses this whole thing in the book, unlike in the game where Edwin doesn't witness anything. But I believe that David dies the same way in the game that he does in the book. After turning on all of the generators in Sleepy Moon's area, you can unlock a ball with the name David on it. That's how we know it was his. Now, why would the ball be down here with Sleepy Moon? Unless, in a fit of rage, Edwin went down and threw the ball into this basement area, the thing that caused his son's death. Now, before talking about question 2, I want to talk about question 3, because it's a bit tricky to answer why Fazbear hasn't sent anyone to go collect their property if Fiona's bringing all the fast technicians there to help her try to get the full data diver to fix M2, but eventually they all meet their ends at the hands of the Mimic, even the main character, Arnold. But I think that Fazbear did send people to go collect, and when they didn't return, they gave up, and then Fiona had the means to send for more people due to the presence of Fazbear and all of the fast technicians having a radio that the dispatch would use to contact them. Because let's think for a minute. Fiona is a mimic, M1. And in order for a mimic to copy a voice or a movement, it had to have seen or heard that voice or movement before, which means that M1 had to have heard dispatch before in order to mimic his voice. So she sent for fast technicians until she got one who could get her the complete data diver in order to fix M2. And along came Arnold. Now, in the book Tales from the Pizzaplex number 6 Nexi, in the Mimic story, Fazbear sends Dominic, Harry, Glenn, and Ron to collect their property, and Dominic eventually learns Fazbear sent another group during Christmas time, and they all died to the Mimic. And now, Dominic and his friends meet the same fate at the hands of the Mimic. That's why, at first, I think Fazbear did send people to go collect, but when none of them returned, they gave up for a while. And now, question 3. What happened to Edwin after M2 got to him? In the game, we don't know yet. It's left ambiguous to what happened to him. All we know is that there was an explosion and M2 broke his legs. But I have a feeling that just like in the books, Edwin survived and came back to stop the storyteller, and that's why we don't see it in Security Breach. That, or he'll be back in the future game to help Cassie stop the Mimic. Either way, I think Edwin survived the initial attack from M2, and that's why we don't see his body anywhere like we see all the Fast Technicians' bodies. For now, I leave you to form your own conclusions, and comment down below with your theories. And remember, it's just a theory.